For the first time since Microsoft 365 Copilot was initially released, Microsoft has added a new option to add on a Copilot license to your Microsoft 365 subscription. This new Microsoft 365 Copilot Business license is focused on smaller businesses, and it offers savings of 30% on the previous pricing. In this video, I'm going to look at who this is for, what's included, when it's available, and whether you should buy it. Stick around to find out all you need to know about Microsoft 365 Copilot Business. The naming of this new Copilot SKU follows the existing convention for Microsoft 365, where the Microsoft 365 Business license options are those aimed at small and medium-sized businesses, whereas the other options are enterprise SKUs focused on larger businesses. The specific size cutoff in Microsoft's licensing world is 300 users. If your tenant has less than 300 users, you can service those users with business license SKUs, but if you have more than 300, you need to buy enterprise. This understanding is exactly the same with Microsoft 365 Copilot Business. You can buy it up to 300 users, and it has to be an add-on to a business SKU license. Those Microsoft 365 Business SKUs come in three flavours. Microsoft 365 Business Basic is the lowest tier with the least features and least expense. At $6 per month, this just gives you access to cloud versions of the apps. Business Standard at $12.50 per month adds the desktop apps along with extra features like Loop. And Business Premium, the only tier I generally recommend to my clients, adds on necessary security protections for $22 per month. It's important to recognise that each of these options already comes with Microsoft's baseline Copilot functionality of Copilot Chat, available on the web and now in the Microsoft 365 apps, along with basic access to agents. This just included by default offer has significantly increased just over the last few months. Previously, even if you had just the $6 per month Business Basic license, the only way you could add on Microsoft 365 Copilot was to purchase the $30 per month add-on license, meaning you'd be paying 5 times more for Copilot than you are for Microsoft 365. There have been other options like pay-as-you-go, but as I've highlighted in a previous video, which I'll put a link down below to, Microsoft 365 plus pay-as-you-go Copilot services only gets you so far toward the capabilities of a full add-on license. Although over the last several months, that gap has been closing as more and more options have been added to the Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat entitlement that all Microsoft 365 license users can access. Now, that add-on is getting cheaper, and for smaller businesses, from the 1st of December, for the $21 per month license fee, you get exactly the same features as the full $30 Microsoft 365 Copilot, just with limitations on which base licenses it can be applied to and the total number of users you can have in your organisation. When I first heard about this, I was suspicious that it would be a cut-down version, but then being feature equivalent was explicitly called out during the Ignite session focused on these small business options, which I'll drop a link to down below. However, I should state that just because the features are the same at launch, doesn't necessarily mean there's a commitment to keep that the case in the long term. Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying this video and want to see more from me with regular updates on Microsoft 365, Copilot and the AI landscape, please give the video a like and hit the subscribe button. So at the time of making this video, the understanding is that with Microsoft 365 Copilot Business, you get all the base Microsoft 365 Copilot features, including Copilot-specific capabilities in apps, you get access to build and use agents in Copilot Studio, you get entitlement to use AI features and agent flows in the context of Copilot Studio, you can use Microsoft's first-party agents like Researcher and Analyst, you can get Frontier program features, and you can access the Copilot API. In my view, this is a good deal for $30 per month, so an even better deal for $21 if you're eligible. I do feel the need to throw some water on this announcement though. Over the last 2 years, I've spoken with a lot of businesses for whom justifying the expense of Copilot has been difficult, and yet in none of those conversations, and particularly the ones where the ultimate decision was to not purchase Copilot licenses, did I get the impression that the hang-up could be resolved by shaving $9 per month off the bill. Many smaller businesses rigidly stick to Microsoft 365 Business Basic or Standard license tiers, even though in my opinion, for almost any business, the step up in terms of security and compliance features to the premium tier is well worth it, because they find it hard to justify that added $9 to $16 per user per month. For an organisation of 15 on the business standard tier, when faced with the prospect of paying Microsoft less than $1,500 per year extra to take what in 2025 could be argued to be fairly common sense steps to protect their business data, many shake their head and decide to take the risk. No businesses in this profile are going to be choosing to spend either $21 or $30 extra per user per month for Copilot. The reality is that there are two very different ways the conversation of Copilot's cost goes. First, there's those that just focus on the total expense. So if you're paying $22 per user for Business Premium and we come along with a $30 per month Copilot, suddenly your annual cost per user jumps from a little more than $250 to more than $600. Substitute in the $21 Copilot Business and we bring this down to $500, but your end of year Microsoft license expenditure has still nearly doubled. I don't believe there's anyone who sees the cost of Copilot as a barrier because of thinking about the numbers in this way who is going to be moved by this discount. Then there's the way I tend to think about the cost of Copilot, as the investment value. If I have an employee that makes $40,000 per year, a pretty junior level for a knowledge worker type of role, even in many smaller businesses, and I believe that investing in Copilot is going to have some positive impact on productivity or other associated work output, how much of an impact do I need to see to get a return? Well, at $30 per month, Copilot represents less than 1% of what I'm spending on this employee. So if they are working 40 hours per week, if I see a little under 5 minutes of positive impact from Copilot per day, I'm getting a positive return. This can be achieved by using a Teams meeting summary of one meeting rather than manually typing notes. And the change from $30 to $21 of monthly cost, when thinking about Copilot investment in this way, becomes pretty much a rounding error. And beyond this raw return on investment logic, there are lots of other reasons for Microsoft 365 Copilot adoption, from providing a solution to mitigate the risk of shadow AI to a tool to be able to hire and retain the best candidates. There are lots of emerging rationales for this type of investment that go beyond the hard time or money return. Don't misunderstand my point. I'm positive that Microsoft is thinking about smaller businesses when positioning Microsoft 365 Copilot. And of course, for eligible companies, there's no reason not to recommend the business tier product. But I'm just not sure that on its own, this pricing change makes that much difference. Do you need help getting AI adoption off the ground or getting value from it in your business? If so, consider reaching out to learn more about working with me and my company, Bright Ideas Agency. We've helped businesses and individuals around the world navigate this new AI age with options including personal coaching, adoption services, project design and delivery, and end-user training. I'd be happy to connect to learn more about your requirements and outline how I can help. More information is in the video description. What I do think would make a difference for many small businesses is a Microsoft 365 Copilot tier that offered more focused adoption help to organisations that likely don't have an enterprise-grade IT capacity. We've just seen Knowledge Agent arrive as a site-by-site helper in SharePoint, but how about an all-wide version of this for small businesses to establish some data practices to help with governance? Or what about some simplified workflows for extending Copilot into products most used by smaller businesses like HubSpot or QuickBooks? I think there are lots of ways Microsoft could differentiate a smaller business-focused Copilot product, perhaps even still at $30 a month, but by eliminating some of the complexity in data preparation and management that has to be there for those enterprise scenarios. And we should also remember that in most cases, you have to invest in Copilot beyond the license purchase in order to get the best value. From data preparation to end-user adoption training, bringing Copilot into your organisation should be a wider effort in generating value than just turning on the capability and hoping your users will work out what to do with it. So if you're a small business owner watching this, should you buy Microsoft 365 Copilot Business? Well, yes. I believe for most smaller businesses already using Microsoft 365, Copilot is a logical fit for delivering a foundation of AI capacity for your teams. But whether you're looking at Copilot at $21 or $30, I would still say the basic security and compliance in your tenant, whether offered by business premium licenses or by third-party offerings, should be a priority over buying AI. So if you're in that using business basic or standard because you'd rather take the risk category, get that worked out first. And when you decide to dive into Copilot, consider where you need additional help, either through your MSP or other IT services provider, or a specialist consultant like me, to ensure you're squeezing every bit of value out of that product. Ultimately, that focus on adoption is going to be far more valuable in the long term than the cost saving in having waited for Microsoft 365 Copilot Business tier to arrive. If you already have the prerequisite Microsoft 365 licenses and you're a Copilot customer, you might be coming up to license renewal if you bought in as soon as Copilot became available to smaller businesses. In this case, it seems likely that you'll have the option to transition your licenses over to Microsoft 365 Copilot Business, but this won't happen automatically. If this situation is the one you find yourself in, then you might be able to save 30% just by switching out the licenses. Overall, it's great to see this being an area where Microsoft is looking for new solutions. What do you think? Will you be buying Microsoft 365 Copilot Business? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching through to the end. Until the next video, bye bye.